edition of the Contractor's Secret Weapon weekly podcast with your hosts, Dave Negri. This program is dedicated to helping contractors, remodelers, painters, roofers, roof cleaners, and business owners in the construction industry gain an unfair advantage over the competition. This program supplies you with information that the competition doesn't even know exists. This session brought to you by ContractorsSecretWeapon.com.
Before we get into the conversation with you, I just want to do a shout out to our sponsors who help promote Contractor's Secret Weapon and just some of the things that they have in store for you, our listeners. Hey, is your phone ringing enough? Do you want it to ring more with highly motivated and qualified buyers that contact you, the contractor, directly? No more waiting for the phone to ring. Just answer that phone. Best Home Services leads are dedicated to making your phone ring with motivated buyers that call you directly. There's no obligation to talk with them. Just go to ContractorsSecretWeapon.com/money. Fill out the form to secure your discount on the setup fee. Do it today. This special will not last forever. Check them out at ContractorsSecretWeapon.com/money.
Running a small business is no easy task, and I should know because I had a service company for almost 10 years. I am the founder of a software called Radius Bomb, and it's unbelievable. And for all the listeners of Contractor's Secret Weapon, we have a special offer for you to check out. If you want to send hyper-targeted, laser-focused, super personalized postcards to your exact prospects using a map while sitting in your underwear, then go to ContractorsSecretWeapon.com/Radius Bomb, and we'll give you your first 100 postcards for free. Just go to ContractorsSecretWeapon.com/Radius Bomb.
Hey, this is Dave Negri with Contractor's Secret Weapon, and today I just want to introduce to you guys Sonya, Karris, and Sacha, Kaluri, two of Australia's most sought-after motivational speakers, speaking to more than 200 school groups, parents, corporate companies, government agencies, and not-for-profit organizations each year for the past 17 years. They are directors of the Australian Teenage Expo, their country's largest educational event, and co-creators and presenters of the Sonya and Sacha show in national TV program that they have and a radio show too, being social commentators with a column to the Herald Sun newspaper, one of Australia's most widely read newspapers, authors of a parenting book about young people and Two Worlds of Your Teenager being released, and I think it was just released. And finally, for 2 years, running the official Australian ambassadors to the United Nations of New York's Women's Entrepreneurship Day. And I'm really excited to have the girls here with me today. And you're probably wondering why we would have two women talking about teenagers. And when they contacted me, they said, well, we could really talk about mentorship in the marketplace for teenagers, and I thought it was a great idea. So I just want to welcome both you girls, Sonya and Sacha, to the program today so that we can really talk about teenagers and mentoring them for the workforce.
Hello, Dave. Thank you so much for having us on your show. It does seem like a bit of an unusual fit, doesn't it? But I think we might have some things to say.
I think you do.
Great to be here.
So I just, one of the first questions I wanted to get you is how did you get involved? Just a little bit about your background story, how you guys got involved in the teenage arena.
Teenage market.
The teenage market, teenage arena.
Sacha.
Yeah. Well, we both have different backgrounds. So my background was in business. I began my own business when I was just 18 years old, so straight after finishing Year 12. And it meant that it was very easy for me to take risks and just because I literally just felt like I was unemployable. So that was really the reason why I started my own business. I know. Completely different to why most other people would do it.
Right.
And from there, I was able to make lots of money very quickly because I was taking big risks because I had no clue and I was a teenager myself, to then actually think losing lots of money very, very quickly, and spent a whole lot of time working for nothing to pay back the mistakes that I made. And then once I finished that, I spoke to somebody and they said, would you like to come and talk to some teenagers about, your story? You've got a bit of an interesting story. I said, yeah. And I was always cool about, getting up in front of an audience and speaking. So I went along and I did it once, twice, 3 times. And I think about the 7th time somebody said, a teacher from another school said, that was a good story. Do you think you could come to my school? And I said, yeah, that would be great. And then she said, how much do you charge?
Oh, my goodness.
I believe somebody was going to pay me to talk and hang out with teenagers, which was the one thing that I knew. I had this magnetic force of something that I just wanted to do. And so that was 17 years ago, and before you know it, you've kind of got a career working with teenagers. And we love it because in that role I've got to work with a whole lot of range of different teenagers, from very highly privileged teenagers to working in juvenile detention centres.
Awesome. So the
one thing that I know is that young people all have the same issues. So no matter where they are, they all have the same kind of issues. Different, but they all have that same feeling of wanting to feel valued.
Yes. It's kind of interesting. I know that when my wife and I, we would do parenting classes for newly kids who are just having babies, and they were surprised to find out that they all had the same problems.
Yeah.
They all do, yeah. And my background's different, Dave. I started working in the hospitality industry when I was quite young, so 16, while I was still at school. And then when I finished our high school education, I had no idea what I wanted to do, and thought, I need to sort of keep on making some money here because I was living away from home. So I just kept working in hospitality, and so I was there for 10 years running nightclubs and working behind the bar and on the front door, pretty much running events, pretty much every facet of hospitality. So I was immersed in this culture of young people partying and loved it, but also at the same time saw a lot of young people coming in to my venues and just doing really risky and stupid things, and thought, after a while I could actually, I know some stuff about this area and I have some good stories, and I don't think that I'm I wouldn't preach at them and I would not come across as an authority figure. So I put a program together and went to my old school principal and I said, what do you think about this idea? And he went off and grabbed 4 Year 12 students and put them in front of me, and he said, tell them. So I got excited, and I was very excited to tell them my program idea, and they said, oh, that sounds all right. The teenage excitement.
Yeah.
Enthusiasm. Yeah. So on that recommendation, I went off and started my business. And 17 years later and more than 200 presentations we do each year around the country. So it's just, and it's the most fun that Sacha and I say it's the most fun that we can have, because having an audience full of, often when we go into an audience, the teachers will introduce us in a very boring way, and so the students automatically think, oh, here we go, another speaker going to tell us what to do, and another person to give us some more rules, and their body language just says, oh, can't be bothered with this is ridiculous. And when we transition that body language from sitting back in their chair saying, all right, what have you got, to sitting forward, and their eyes are alive and they're really locked in and they're really listening and they're having a great time, there's no drug that's better than that for us. Right. That's just the best.
Well, yep. I know you guys have a lot of fun at what you do, because I was watching some of your videos, and you really you do have a lot of fun with what you do. You dress the part and you enjoy everything you do, so it has to be contagious when you're in front of people.
Yes, correct. Well, I mean, if we're having fun, then you'll have fun.
Right.
Watching us or getting involved in, and if we bring across that enthusiasm and that passion for what we do, then it's infectious. That's a word that we've been hearing a lot lately, is when people are talking about our presentations or even our vibe in meetings. It's like, oh, you guys are you're infectious. Your energy is infectious, and. Cool. And that's what we try to bring to the table in everything that we're doing, whether we're mentoring a young person or whether we're speaking in front of 4,000 people. We live this and breathe this and absolutely truly love it. Like Sacha said, it's a magnetic force in us to want to work with young people and give them there's many opportunities and options as we possibly can, and so that translates, which is awesome.
Yeah. So I've got a question for you, which is get us rolling on the contractor side or the business side. Each of us who have kids, we want the best for them, and we always do. Our intentions are always the best, but when we get to working for ourselves or working for our boss, we have a tendency to not pay as much attention as we'd like to our teenagers, or actually even our kids. But I have this feeling, and I've known since being around teenagers, they seem to be like this lost generation in a sense where they're trying to figure out who they are, because they're in the middle between their adulthood and they're out of adolescence, and they're going, all right, what do I do here? And it seems like that us as parents try hard, but we seem to miss the boat. How do we bring that around to make our kids, not make them, but help them? But this is a long question. I'm sorry. Help them become the people that we would love them to become, and have fun doing it. I'm sorry it was so long. It just came out.
No, we understand. Do you know, and it's funny that you said it, because one of the elements that Sonya and I have in our business, like we've been in business in our business and our partnership with our business for the past 17 years, and we have like one strong, really core value that we have, and that is that everything we do must have an element of fun. Mm-hmm. And so it always comes back to that. So every time we're starting a new venture, we're getting involved with something new, we like look at it and go, okay, is there something fun? Now, that doesn't mean that there's always going to be fun in every single thing that we do, right, but there needs to be an ingredient of fun in that. And so teenagers love that. That's a language that they love to speak. So you need to find their fun. What's their thing that is kind of their tentacle that's going to latch onto them, and they'll say that's what's their element of fun. And everyone will have a different version of what fun is. So what may be fun to us may not be to somebody else, but it's about finding that ingredient. So it's really about listening to, we call it the whispers, listening to when they talk about something, what lights them up. So how do you bring that back into it? So, what are they watching on YouTube? What are they thinking about? What are they going on that's not necessarily about the work that they're involved in, whether you're employing them as a young person or if they're one of your kids? What can you bring in that's that element of fun, so that actually gets them hooked in? And then you need to go, for example, especially if you're employing a young person, it's almost like, especially if you're employing them and you're going to have quite a close relationship with them. So, for example, if they're doing an apprenticeship with you, might actually mean that you're working with them quite closely. So they will actually, in order to get them over the line, so they're working really hard for your business, so that's increasing your bottom dollar, then you need to find out a little bit about them so that you can translate it into their language.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's all about relationship building and communication. We were the same, Dave. When we were teenagers, we were trying to find our way, weren't we? We didn't know everything until we learned about it. And now the difference that this generation has between us is that they have this fast form of communication now. They're online and they have information at their fingertips. They access anything. And then they also have the exposure to that social media, which is 24/7. Okay, so they're getting all of that kind of influence and messaging as well. So they're trying to find their way and do stupid things, but their stupid things become, a worldwide platform of everybody to see. Like when you and I did dumb things, Dave, no one knew about
we could hide it.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we can hide it
great,
from our
right?
parents. Yeah, now you can't
Now
hide anything online.
Yeah, it comes up on the news feed. Yeah, so they're living in a really different generation. So in some ways, they're kind of almost more scared to make mistakes than we were, because the ramifications of those are way bigger than we experienced, because
absolutely.
way more people will know about it. And so sometimes they can be a little bit concerned about putting themselves out there and sort of, taking risks and taking the jump, because they have this in the background. But we were the same. So it's just about our communication. We need to constantly find ways of speaking to them, not interrogating them, but being interested in what's going on in their lives and what their lives are doing at the moment versus what ours were. And we can very easily forget what it was like to be a young person, because we've got 20 more years experience than they have, or whatever. So it's just it's coming down to their level, like Sacha said, finding out what their thing is. And if that means that we need to learn something about that thing, then go and learn it, because again, they have the access to the technology, so do we. Learning that, and then finding that way into that person. Because if you want to create a really good relationship with a young person, have them be loyal to your organisation, you need to make them feel valued and understand something about them. Okay, it's all about relationship building. We listen to some of the greatest, entrepreneurs out there all the time, and there's a guy at the moment in America, I'm not sure if you've heard of him. His name's Gary Vaynerchuk, and he runs VaynerMedia, and he has 700 employees. And his latest promise is that he's going to meet with every single one of those employees at least once every 6 months and see what's going on in their world.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
Smart.
That's a big commitment.
It's a lot of work, correct, it is, but it's a smart move, because if you take the time to find out what's going on in that young person's life and see where they're at, then you build the strong relationships. You are better, your business is better because they feel valued and listened to and cared about. And, hopefully you can help to solve some of their problems within your business, and then that makes them feel better and want to, give more to your business.
Wow.
And really, we're also investing in them personally. And one other thing with young people is that they move on quite quickly. So once they'll get a whole lot of skills, and then they'll move on to the next business. And once they move on to the next business, or the next organisation that they work with, then you've actually spent a whole lot of money training them up. And so now what we're saying is, you're spending time and money training them up, but also getting to know them personally will actually keep them on board a lot longer, because then they'll feel like they want to, young people like knowing that they've, achieved something for somebody else. So if you let them know the successes that you've had because of what they've brought into it, they'll feel great. They'll want to keep pleasing you. It's like anybody.
I know, it's kind of funny. We just hired my wife and daughter, they own a business, and they just hired a new employee. I don't even think he's 20, 19, just got married. And really a nice, sharp young man. He worked for Chick-fil-A and became a manager, which is pretty interesting in itself. And they've had him on the job 2 weeks, and they go, you know what, we can give him a ton of stuff to do, but we really need to find out more of what he can do, because he's going to get bored fast. Because he's wants to learn, he's eager, he wants to learn a whole new career, and they go, so I was in there the other day, and I do some of their help them with their marketing and stuff. So I said, listen, when you get bored, call me, I got stuff for you to do. He goes, okay.
See, and that's all it might be. That you've just reached out and you've given this guy something to light his eyes up. Okay, good. So there's other stuff that I can learn. If you've got a young person, an extraordinary young person like that, and don't we love it when we come across those young people who are just innately great at what they do and really thirsty to learn, then that's what, you've worked that out, Dave. So you've worked that out. You've looked at that young person. You've obviously had some communication with him, and you've worked out that he's thirsty for knowledge and he's ready to learn. So keep him interested in the job by giving him new things to learn and keeping it fresh for him. And that way you will retain that young person in the business. That's just a smart thing to do. And this is how we roll now in businesses. It's no longer the dictatorship, right? You come to work, you leave your problems at the door, you get in here, you work hard for 30 years, we give you a watch and see you later. It doesn't work like that anymore. It's a different world, and young people are being raised in different ways now. So it's important that we kind of understand that and come at it from a different perspective.
Oh, absolutely. So it's all about building relationships with the younger generation and bringing them up in the way that you would like them to be. So, and that might mean that's hard work. It's difficult thing to do because simple,
a lot of people will say a lot of people will say there's this big gap and I don't know what they're doing and I don't know the language that they're speaking and it's almost like they're speaking in a completely different language. Probably they are, but let's learn it. Like, it's not that hard to understand. It's not that hard to learn by asking them, what's important to you? What do you love? What do you do on the weekends? What lights you up? Let's try and put some of that, flavour and influence into our workday and keep that spark going. Because if we want to retain employees in our businesses, then we have to make it cool and interesting, somewhere where they would like to be, rather than us just a little stop on the way to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing.
And honestly, I think as business owners, it's our responsibility to take whomever, teenager or young adult or even an older adult, and train them to be the best that they can be. And then if they do get bored because it's your fault or whatever the case may be, but you've trained them to be that better person, so they're a better person for the next person.
Correct. Yeah.
Also, because they are growing up, we actually never know where they'll end up. So they may actually build a business that's more successful than yours or bigger than yours or be able to develop something. I always want them to remember you as that person that gave them that first chance or listened to them and listened to their ideas, because they may even have a better idea of doing something than what you do. I mean, often adults can get stuck in that world of, I've been doing it this way, it's been working, and then comes along this new teenager that you've employed and they start ranting off ways that they could possibly do it better. And instantly we're like, are you serious? Like, you know how long it's taken me to figure this out from here? But just listen, and then maybe even explain to them why it won't work, rather than just dismissing it and saying, no, that's not going to happen like that. Give them and say, look, I thought of something like that, or that's a great idea, but, this and this and this has meant that we can't do it like that. But I'm loving the way that you're looking outside the square, and keep doing that, because, you can actually figure out, and I want to be able to figure out some new ways to do things better, because, you might be doing it for the same, you may have been doing it this way for such a long time, and so you're stuck in your own way of thinking. So fresh eyes are always good, and a young person is definitely going to look at things new. So you can learn from them just as much as what they can learn from you.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, sometimes Sonya and I say, I hope they've learned as much as from us as what we've learned from them.
Yeah, it's amazing the different thought processes that they have, and they come and they look at things and they say things, and you go, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you end up with a whole new perspective of things, which is great, because it's all about becoming better and learning and with our businesses and trying to make whatever we have better for our customers and the way we do business. So if we can bring a new aspect, a new thought process into that, then wow for us.
Do you know what? When we do seminars, and there's this classic one the other day that Sacha did, where she was going into a school and they'd already said to her, these guys are they're like a step away from hardened criminals, and they're 16. Okay. And this was at a school. It wasn't a detention centre or anything. This was just at a school, and with a sort of an alternative learning program within that school. And, they were hardcore kids, and we love that. When teachers tell us that, we love it, because they're like, oh, you're going to find it very difficult to get through to these guys, and good luck almost. And they send you into the lines, yeah. And we love that, because that's our our challenge. That's our excitement. So Sash gets in there and does this amazing seminar with these young people. And particularly there's one sort of ringleader guy who said something and she picked up on it, and they had this really great banter going on. And, he was locked in and completely engaged. And after the seminar, came up to her and said, "Thank you so much. That was awesome." And the teachers were dumbfounded because the speaker that they'd had before that came in, and that particular young boy, went up to the previous speaker, and said, "Thanks for wasting my time," and kicked the wall on the way out. He said, "You completely wasted my time. That was crap," kicked the wall, and then walked out of the room.
And smashed the wall. Smashed the wall.
Yeah.
Kicked it and put a hole through the wall.
So
the difference being a person who comes in and just dictates and just talks at and doesn't actually pick up on, and sometimes it's just about your body language. Are you excited to listen to what this young person's got to say? We're standing in front of audiences and we listen. Don't just let us talk at you. Challenge us. Ask us questions. Give us your perspective and point of view, because we're open to that. And our body language, everything about us says that too. It's not just, "Oh, what do you think?" and then, "What do you know?" Your whole body is saying, "What do you know?" It has to be all in. And we get a lot of people, say to us, "Oh, young people, they're hopeless and they don't know what they're doing, and they have no idea, and they're just selfish and da da da." We don't see that. We go in with and a lot of people say that because everyone else says that.
Right.
They don't actually know that. They don't actually know what it's like, to talk to a young person and listen to their ideas. And I think maybe because we're of the way that our vibe and what we're putting out there, but we attract a whole lot of young people who are amazing, Dave. They've got the most incredible ideas. They are hustling. They are better examples of entrepreneurs than we are in some cases, because they don't give up. Like, we've got a young person who's an artist, as like a musician working with us. And she does not stop. She's constantly on social media. She's always pushing out content. She's always engaging with her audience. And she's getting work left, right and centre, and opportunities left, right and centre, because she is working her butt off from morning until 3:00 in the morning, and she's amazing. So when people say, "Oh, the millennials are this and millennials are that," I don't think they really get it.
Well, and I agree. I agree with you in that, because they don't. I think millennials have a whole mindset of their own, and if you can learn how they think, then you can connect with them. And it's last week I did not too long. I did an interview with Phil Singleton. He does SEO, and he says for companies, and he goes, he says it's amazing. He said millennials are going to clean the clocks of business owners worldwide, because they understand the digital age, and all the old timers are resisting it and fighting it, and the millennials are going to come in and they're going to take over, and they're going to seem like they've been in business forever, because they're going to dominate the market. So, as far as millennials, you can talk bad about them, but they're no different than my generation, or when we grew up, because we were thrown into that ball of wax. They're lazy. They don't want to do anything. But well, give me the choice.
Because everyone's got it hard. Yeah, everyone's had it harder than everyone else.
Yeah, right. No,
everyone. A couple of generations. Oh, we used to walk to school with the hole in our shoe for 5 miles in the snow, and that sort of thing, right? And then, technology's got better now, and transportation's got better now. But
I don't even have to go to school. I can do it online. Yeah.
Correct. So it's just a different way of looking at things, and everyone thinks that they've got it harder. Everyone likes to complain, don't they? They like to complain. So,
I think so, yeah. And you know what? And here's the philosophy too: is everyone loves success. They just don't like your success.
Yeah.
There you go. Yes.
Interesting for us to be able to teach them, for them to be able to teach us. So, for example, with one of the young people Sonia's talking about, she's like this gun on social media, and last year we travelled around Australia and we did a show for young people. She was part of that show, and she said to us, she was showing, doing all this social media stuff, and so we would spend a whole lot of time on aeroplanes together and waiting in airports when you're doing a tour around the country.
Sure.
And I literally just said to her, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "I'm doing this, I'm doing that." And I'm like, okay, and taught and said, well, can you teach me? And why do you do it like that? And started asking questions. Like I said, I've noticed that you're doing this. Why are you doing that on social media? And so literally by taking, like I sat there and absorbed like a sponge all of her social media information that she was saying, and I was asking questions. And yes, sometimes like she'd literally grab my phone off me and go, I'll do it faster. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I just want to, I want to know what you're doing. Why are you doing it? Why are you setting up to make it sure that it's, the post is going on this time? What difference does it make? And I was asking so many different questions. And by coming away, like, and she was actually really wanting to help. Like, you do it like this. This is actually, and giving me tips on what to do. And then literally by following her instructions in 1 year, our social media has gone out of control. And it's literally because I sat on a plane or in an airport, and instead of just thinking, oh, God, what's she doing? I just kind of leant over and went, can you teach me about that? And went off and used the principles. And now, like, every time we see each other, I'll go, can you just teach me one thing? Can you just teach me this? And then go away and bang, like I'm taking this thing and riding with it. And it's incredible, like the thing that it's done for our business. Hang on a second. Sorry, I've got my son.
So for all of you guys that are listening now, there's kids in the background because it is, well, it's 6 o'clock. Yeah, it's 6 o'clock where I am in Florida. What time is it where you guys are?
8 a.m.
8 a.m. tomorrow for me.
Yep.
So it's
Saturday.
Yeah, it's Saturday and it's Friday night here. So guys, it's very interesting
We're in the future.
We're in the future. Does anybody want to know what the lottery for next week is? No, we don't know that. We don't know that.
That's the theme of our whole discussion. We're in the future, so get here quickly.
That's so awesome. So this has really been awesome. What would be one last thought that you'd like to tell everyone about teenagers? Would probably be maybe you missed or really want to talk about in the back of your head about mentoring them?
It's just constantly about valuing them and showing an interest in their life, and they'll actually show an interest in your life. So it's actually, you need to maybe work a little bit harder, like rather than thinking that they're going to do it, you reach out to them first.
Mm-hmm. Cool. This has really been awesome. So girls, Sonya and Sacha, how can our listeners get in touch with you? And of course, we'll put all this on the show notes and everything like that, but how can they get in touch with you in case somebody wants you to come to the United States and speak for them? That would be awesome.
Oh, wow. We would love that. We would love that. So we've got a website, and it's sonyaandsacha.com.au, which is SONYA and SACHA.com. And you've got to put the .au on the end of it for Australia. And, we're Sonya and Sacha across all of the social media platforms. So drop us a like and get in contact with us that way. We would love to chat with you and your audience.
Awesome. This has been so much fun. I'm glad we actually got a chance to do this across the world.
And Dave, we have a book as well, which is called The Two Worlds of Your Teenager, which is a great book and you can actually Google that and look that up. And order it anywhere in the world. So it's The Two Worlds of Your Teenager. Okay. And if you're a business and you're wanting to reach out to young people and learn more about their world, this is a great book to get into, The Two Worlds of Your Teenager.
Cool. Well, we'll put that link on our show notes too, so that people can just go directly to whoever has it. I'll check Amazon and put a link to the show notes so they can do that. So, girls,
thank you so much, Dave.
Thanks. It's been fun. And I know that everyone needs a chance, and we need to help grow up the next generation to be responsible like most of us.
I'm glad you said it that way. Totally agree. Yeah. It's been a pleasure to chat with you, and I hope that we've brought some value to your listeners.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Again, I want to thank you for joining us and investing your time with us today. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and if you did, go to iTunes and give us a shout-out. You can also go to our website, www.contractorsecretweapon.com, and check out today's episode and leave us a comment in the bottom of the page. And if you haven't gotten your 15 secret weapon strategies to getting higher-end customers, get it while you're at the website. Also, I want to thank again our sponsors for keeping this podcast alive for your profit-making pleasure. And so go be profitable this week. Work smarter, not harder, and learn how to leverage your time and your knowledge so that you can be more profitable. Again, see you next week.
Thanks for joining us for another weekly episode of the Contractor's Secret Weapon podcast with Dave Negri. We would love to hear your comments about this episode, so visit us online at www.contractorsecretweapon.com and let us hear your thoughts. If you are listening via iTunes, please leave us a positive review. The more positive reviews we receive, the more other contractors will benefit from this show. Thank you, and see you next time here on the Contractor's Secret Weapon Podcast.